Hello everyone, I'm Winter, a traditional slash digital artist, and today I'm diving into something close to my heart, an anime that captured my imagination from the very first episode. That's right, I'm talking about Frierenbeyondjourney'send. We know her, we love her. Today, I'll be drawing Miss Frieren herself. Okay, so I didn't do too much planning for this piece because I didn't want to think too much about how I was gonna draw Frieren. I decided to have more fun with it and just experiment with colors, and I'm really glad I did. So I know there's a lot of videos out there already praising Frieren and how it infamously brought itself all the way up to the top of my anime list. Which, if that in itself doesn't speak on its massive popularity, then I don't know what will. I wanted to share what I personally really loved about this show, and how I resonated with its messages, and how I just connected it with my own journey as an artist. So for those of y'all that don't know, Frierenbeyondjourney'send follows the journey of Frieren, an elf mage who outlived her adventuring companions after they defeated the Demon King. As she reflects on her past and the fleeting nature of human life compared to her own, Frieren embarks on a new quest to better understand humanity and the bonds she once took for granted. This fantasy story beautifully explores themes of time, personal growth, and the legacy we leave behind in a world brimming with magic and adventure. I gotta say, this story has some beautifully crafted characters who feel deeply human, even in their own magical world. For me, it's not just the breathtaking animation, badass fight scenes, or Frieren giving a kiss. Even though all those things do make the anime amazing, no, what makes Frieren truly special to me is its emotional depth. Watching the show, you're transported to this calm, almost meditative atmosphere that strikes you when you least expect it. I think some people might even find this a bit boring or slow, but I think the pacing of the anime actually allows us room to breathe, to take in the scenes and interactions we're witnessing on screen. It does a great job at balancing the more mundane slice of life aspects with the more extraordinary high action adventures the characters go on. It reminds us that even in the quiet, more mundane moments, there still lies some of the most profound lessons life has to offer. That's the reason why the show seems so grounded to me. It doesn't skip over those parts. Frieren teaches us to cherish and make the most out of that time. As the show mostly focuses on Frieren, it's really the relationships she builds along the way that gives the story its heart. It's about the friends we made along the way type shit, you know? We see Fern and Stark bring such a great dynamic that balances out Frieren's calm, almost detached demeanor. Fern, being Frieren's apprentice, represents the younger generation who's constantly learning from Frieren, but also challenging her views on her humanity and own emotions. I love how we're able to see different sides of Fern. She isn't perfect by any means. Her cold, bossy behavior is how I typically get around my boyfriend when he doesn't know what I'm thinking and can't just read my mind. We often see her retreat and give the silent treatment when Stark upsets her, and she calms down after eating her silly little treat. Naturally, I found myself relating a lot to these quote-unquote negative aspects and flaws of her character. I feel like this made her seem so much more genuine, And I've seen some people consider Fern's behavior as abusive towards Stark, and that Stark deserves better. I heavily disagree with this take, and here's why. First of all, I don't consider their relationship to be abusive. It's flawed for sure, but not enough to be abusive. I can acknowledge that there's definitely characters out there that play on the tsundere trope way too much, to the point where it's unbearable to watch. But Fern is not one of them. You have to remember, Fern grew up not really having friends or socializing with kids her age. That's why it's hard for her to communicate with Stark, and why Girly Pop is not emotionally stable at times. Literally, the only people she's had close relationships with were Heiter and Frieren. I mean, she's an orphaned war refugee, for crying out loud. Girly is going to have moments of insecurity due to her past trauma. I see Fern as a well-written, dynamic character whose flaws make her interesting and relatable. I'm sorry, but I will no longer stand by and take this Fern slander. I love Fern and her quiet determination and moments of growth. She's also so much more than just an apprentice towards Frieren. She watches out for her and cares for her in her own special way. It's really sweet to see their relationship grow throughout the story. Fern is a reminder of how we all need some sort of mentor, someone to help guide us, but also to challenge us to think for ourselves. Fern shows us that even as we look up to someone, we're constantly growing into our own identities while also helping shape their lives as well. Now, don't y'all go thinking that I forgot about Stark, the man of the group. Okay, so I actually really love Stark's subtle humor and awkwardness. It contrasts perfectly with Fern. Their dynamic is honestly so fun and wholesome to watch, even though they're on a serious, epic journey. There's still that space for silly little shenanigans and moments. Fern and Stark just seem to complement each other perfectly, and that's why the scene of them dancing together makes you want nothing more than for that ship to sail, baby! You wish the best for them, you want them to be happy! Fern and Stark's interactions with Frieren really emulate one of the show's central themes. This growth through the relationships we make in our lifetime. Fern is growing into her own as a mage, while Stark learns to trust his instincts and take on more responsibility. They're not just supporting characters, they're key to Frieren's journey of understanding her humanity again. It's in these bonds that the show finds its emotional core. Frieren may be the one who's lived for centuries, but it's her connection to Fern and Stark that teaches her the importance of living in the present, the value other people bring into her life, and the ways in which we all leave these lasting impressions on one another. We never really forget the people who've come into our lives. Sometimes it truly just takes one person to deeply impact how we see the world and how we see ourselves. We feel sad for Frieren because we see her realizing the regret and grief she feels losing her hero party, and especially Himmel. To see her cry and reminisce over what's probably just a mere blip in her life is what makes Frieren such a beloved protagonist. The fact that she's able to feel grief in these moments show how much she's grown through their adventures together. The bond between her and Himmel is just so special. Like, You can really tell they both meant a lot to each other. And it's just so unfortunate that that ship will never sail. There's this line in episode 22 that struck a chord with me. And it's where Frieren asks Himmel, "What's your motivation for helping people?" Himmel answered by saying, "So when I leave this world, my name lives on in the hearts of the people I impacted. To live is to be known. To live is to be remembered." That line really hit me hard because I think as creators, whether we're artists, writers, musicians, or even just people trying to make a difference, we all hope to be remembered in some way. We all want to leave something behind us that's bigger than ourselves. We want to make an impact and to feel that our work has meaning behind us. Himmel says something to Frieren that just captures this beautifully, and that was, "You should change their life, even if it's only in some small way." And that, my friends, is what I strive for with my art. It's what motivates me to keep creating and making videos, even when it's scary or when I doubt myself. I'll read your guys' comments on my first video and think to myself, wow, my work, something so personal to me, touched people. It inspired someone out there to create. It brightened up someone's day, and it helped someone see things a little differently. And not gonna lie, this made me cry. I cried because I truly did not expect to get this response from you guys. It took a lot for me to post that first video, to put myself out there, and to just open up in that way. But I'm eternally grateful that I did, because now I can look back in the future and see how far I've come. Art is like magic. Both involve the act of bringing something into existence that wasn't there before. I feel like we all face moments where we wonder if what we create matters, if our voice will ever be heard in the vast noise of the world. But remember, art, just like magic, doesn't need an audience to be powerful. Its value isn't in the external validation, but in the act and devotion to creation itself. There's another line in Frieren that I think can resonate with anyone who's ever tried to create something meaningful. It's in episode 21, where Frieren is given permission by the powerful maid Seria to choose any spell she wants. Imagine that, the ultimate opportunity for power and knowledge at her fingertips. But instead of seizing it for the sake of power, Frieren declines the offer and says the pursuit of magic brings far greater joys than any spell ever could. And I know, cliche much? Like, I would have personally wished for a bajillion fantasy dollars and the power to turn Fallon back into a human? Oh wait, wrong anime. Anyways, I know on the surface this may sound like just a humble response from my girl Frieren, but when you really think about it, this is some profound writing. Like, it's not always about reaching that final pinnacle or mastering everything. It's about the love of the journey itself. At least for me, this sentiment reflects so much of what it means to be an artist. We often get so caught up in striving for that one masterpiece, the perfect piece that will define us. But Frieren's words remind me that it's not always about the end result. It's really about, well, the journey, the practice, the small improvements, the moments where you're truly immersed in your craft and are able to enter that flow state. Everything else just seems to fade away. Those moments when time doesn't seem to matter and it's just you and the act of creating. Those are the things that bring real joy, real clarity. It's something I've had to remind myself time and time again throughout my art journey. I've learned that it's okay if not every piece is perfect. The joy is in creating, in expressing myself, and in constantly learning. It's in those seemingly small improvements that don't really feel significant at the time, but add up after all those years of practice. There's beauty in the messy drafts, in the mistakes, and even in the frustration, because all of it is a part of the process. That's what makes art truly special. It's that it's difficult to make. Even with all the tools right in front of you, it still takes patience and perseverance. Every time you sit down to draw, paint, or create something, you're expanding on your skills. No amazing artist was born with raw, perfect talent. What we admire in others, their seemingly effortless mastery, it's all the result of thousands of hours of trial and error. In a world where we're constantly exposed to amazing art, where we go online and we see all these brilliant artists and think, damn, it would take me years to get to that level. But that's okay. That's fine. There's no rush. Art, just like our lives, isn't a race to be won. It's a journey, an experience to be savored. The world needs your magic, your art, your story, your perspective. You never know who might be touched by what you create, even if that person is just yourself. Frieren did something to me that not a lot of anime can do. It left its mark on me, not just as a beautiful story, but as a reminder of why I create in the first place. Frieren, much like us artists and creatives out there, are on a journey that isn't about achieving some ultimate, all-powerful magic. Instead, it's about the joy of doing something she loves and the fulfillment that comes from simply continuing to learn and grow. Like Frieren, I think we as creatives should embody this way of life more. The hours spent practicing, the doubts and the frustration, the breakthroughs, all of these moments matter. Create from a place of love and passion, and maybe, just maybe, what we create, what we leave behind, will resonate with someone else, just like how Frieren has resonated with me. In our endless rush to chase our goals and ambitions, sometimes we forget to slow down and truly live. We forget to simply be. Thank you guys so much for being here and for receiving my incessant rambles about anime women. I'm grateful I get to be able to share all parts of my art journey and process with you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!